It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Anne.
Those of mechanics, each one singing his as it should be, blithe and strong. The carpenter singing his as he measures his plank.
Of the things unknown, but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the cage bird sings.
Think on thee, and then my state, like the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered.
The words of poets, past and present, have powerful, profound meaning. Finding that meaning and portraying it on stage is giving some young Tennessee interpreters a new purpose.
Hello and welcome to the Tennessee State Finals for Poetry Out Loud 2009.
Poetry allows me to express my feelings and vent all these unwanted feelings that I want to get out of my system.
And sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird.
It makes me feel good. It's just, poetry's wonderful.
Poetry Out Loud is an exciting event with a coveted first place prize. But before any of these modern day poetry readers can take a seat in this auditorium, they must be determined to do the hard work required to get here.
At first, I just saw the big heading, Poetry Out Loud, and I mean, that just drew me in, you know. And I thought we were gonna write it and then recite it.
Already a senior at Tyner Magnet School near Chattanooga, Jacqueline Benford saw a chance to take her pursuit of poetry to another level. She won the class competition, but then found she needed coaching. So she turned to Vincent Ivan Phipps, creator of Rhyme and Chat, Chattanooga's first interactive poetry website.
You know, it's always easier to tame a grizzly bear than it is to make a rabbit aggressive. So with her, I just polished up the greatness that was already there so their essence could come through naturally.
Jacqueline chose two poems that best suited her personality, and those were the ones she practiced.
Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. Its basic meaning is to express confidence in the reciter. The stride in my step and the curve of my lips. I am a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. When she wrote it, you know, she was just feeling it, you know, and that's what drew me to it. I felt it, you know, I just really felt it. And I like to think I'm a confident person. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I've always adored that poem, and I saw it on the list. Yes, you know, I mean, because I'm a romantic person. And height, my soul can reach when feeling out of sight.
I asked her how she related to the content, to the wording, and I asked her to embody those words, and instead of just saying them, express them as if they are your own. So instead of looking at delivering the poem and modifying the meaning of it, act as if you are talking to your audience about yourself and using these words as the bridge. When she associated her own experiences with the poem, it became her own.
Poetry has the power to bridge two worlds. Not far from Chattanooga, in the rural community of Decatur, Meigs County High School junior Megan Rogers was one of several students hoping to represent the school.
We looked for students who weren't afraid to get up in front of the class and recite poetry, students who could project in their voice or actions the meaning of the poem and stay true to the author or the poet while doing so. Megan Rogers is a student that poetry really speaks to her, so she had no problem being very unique in her approach to the recitation.
So that her highborn kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea.
I like to call it get inside the poem and walk around, and Megan does a very good job of that. She can walk around and tell you what she saw while she was there and make you understand.
Poetry, it can be anything. You see it everywhere. You feel it, you just write it down, and then it's poetry. And That's another way of expressing yourself. I love that.
That the wind came out of the cloud by night.
And at the competition, Megan chooses to walk around inside Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe.
Annabel Lee isn't really a story about a girl who dies in my book. It's just something far more than that.
And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee.
It's more of a man longing for something, but then losing it. It doesn't have to be a woman or a person in general or anything. It could be just the loss of something more dear.
A Country Boy in Winter by Sarah Orne Jewett.
In many similar ways, from big cities and small towns, this is how the students from 16 high schools find their way to this stage. With great confidence, passion, and poise, they begin stepping up to take their place, speaking for their favorite poets.
And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom.
When they squeeze me tight, I bring down the angels who live off the chorus. The trios singing loose and
I all alone beweep my outcast state. And troubled, deaf heaven.
The judges hold court over this stage with ears trained for the art of poetry. And while they listen, they watch and they wait to see if the performance is more about the poem or the person.
Come to my arms, my beloved.
I hear America Singing by Walt Whitman.
I too dislike it. There are things that are important beyond all this.
The competition continues as parents and teachers watch the students, one after the other, each hoping they'll be the winner.
She looked at me with understanding eyes, saying, "Superficial wishes only make you smaller."
It must be very rewarding for these students to be able to turn to this art, which somehow reflects some of the very complex emotions that they're feeling. A lot of people don't have a language to convey those feelings, but here these poems do this for them.
I don't mind how cold it grows, for then the ice won't crack.
The goal is that these students develop a long-term relationship with literature.
For thou sweet love remembered, such wealth brings.
Every interpreter will walk away from here today rewarded, but only one can take home the trophy.
Ever to confess you're bored means you have no inner resources. I conclude now, I have no inner resources.
I think with poetry, it's something that it can be whatever you make it. And I think it's so powerful that you can express such a strong emotion with 2 words or something so short or something so simple, and you can get all these emotions and the person who's reading it knows exactly what the feeling is. And I think that's something that you can't really get with anything else. I like it a lot. I'm going to go onto the national competition, which is really exciting, and I'm going to practice a heck of a lot before then. I think I might have to learn a new poem, which I can do. It's a little bit nerve-wracking, but I can do it.
Poetry Out Loud demonstrates to all the students that impassioned feelings expressed in imaginative words are not just rusty relics reserved for the elite, but that poetry offers them classic and contemporary ways to learn from their literary heritage and relate it to their lives here and now.
In the meantime, if you demand on one hand the raw material of poetry in all its rawness, and that which is on the other hand genuine, you are interested in poetry.